Good morning and welcome to the Centers for Spiritual Living, Midtown Atlanta, where you are welcome. Such is the nature of life that all it asks and all it wants is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. Whoever you are, whatever path brought you here today, please know you are welcomed and celebrated. We know who you are. You are an individualized expression of the divine life in which we all live. We are life's opportunity to be someone unique and wonderful. So you are welcome to be a part of this community in whatever way serves you. Here's our vision statement. We are a strong, open, globally connected community centered on the clarity of principle through teaching, service, and practice. We create a safe and respectful environment that supports healthy spiritual growth. And with that, I'd like to share with you our declarations of principles as written by our founder, Ernest Holmes.
A few of the declaration of principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful, hey.
So, a practitioner is someone who's demonstrated the ability to use spiritual practice and spiritual laws to bring about great changes in their lives. And they've demonstrated that they know how to do this and bring this about for changes in other people when asked. Licensed by Centers for Spiritual Living, and they are able to provide you with spiritual guidance and support in those areas where you're maybe not able to do that for yourself and need some additional assistance. So you may contact them through our website, cslmidtown.org. Today we've got one of our lead practitioners to share good ideas and an affirmative prayer called a spiritual mind treatment. Welcome this morning, Maya Fuller.
Good morning. Thank you, Vance. Good morning, CSL Midtown. Happy August. And I'm saying happy August because this month's theme is love. And what better, higher vibration, what higher frequency what higher concept of a theme can we have than love? So we look forward to hearing what Reverend Dr. Mignonne Pollard is going to share with us today when it comes to love. This week, I had my own experience in terms of what I was working on within my consciousness when it came to love, and it was sparked because I am taking this. I'm in this group where we study spirituality, and we're reading this week from the Journey of Awakening by Ram Dass. And in this section, it was a section related to compassion, and a key line in this said something about how unbounded love includes hate because it's beyond polarity. Unbounded, like divine, infinite love includes hate because it's beyond polarity. And someone asked me what I think that means. And it really brought me back to this teaching that there is one presence, one power. That's the foundational principle of New Thought overall and Science of Mind in particular, that there is one presence, one power in the universe, only one, and that everything is encompassed by this one. And when it comes to love and compassion, everything and everyone is encompassed by this one. And the nature of that one is love, right? Actually, one of the New Thought traditions, Universal Foundation for Better Living, they say that the definition of the word love is the idea and divine mind of universal oneness. So the idea and divine mind of universal oneness is their definition for love. That oneness, that everything is one. When we think about human love, it's this coming together. It's this, this binding force. That's, this, the fact that we're bound with, in some way, with the people that we experience emotional love for. And it's also interesting that, like even in all of our traditions, most traditions, we've been taught that it's like, I love you the way God loves you, right? Which is just like, just because you exist, right? That I have that God kind of love for you, and so the fact that we're talking about love in this week and this month, and in this passage, Das was talking about compassion. It's like when we can recognize that we are the same, one and the same, then we can have compassion. So in this class that I was in, the facilitator, or this group that I was in, the facilitator had us do a treatment, and a guided meditation. And in the guided meditation, it was about forgiveness. So right now we're talking about love, compassion, and now forgiveness. Okay. Oneness, love, compassion, oneness, and now forgiveness. So it's like, bring someone to mind that you want to forgive. And so me, this practitioner, has someone on my list that I have been, working with every time, an opportunity comes up for forgiveness. And so through this concept that unbounded love includes hate, that there is, like, and not that I hate this person, but I'm just saying that, like, even this extreme, dislike, right? That there is a space that I, as a practitioner of this, not because I'm a licensed practitioner, but just because I practice this teaching, would like to get beyond. I would like to get to the unbounded love awareness space, right? That, change. That's when I get to that state of consciousness, and I can change my experiences, right? And so I like to get to that space, and I realize that the reason that very often people have this experience of not love is because we're not feeling love. It's like this concept that, like, love is something that we all want to experience. I'm pretty sure that he said that in there, or something like in the reading as well, that love is something that we all want to experience. We all recognize as a good thing. Love, connection, being affirmed by others, by our community, feeling a sense of connectedness, and happy bonds, right? These are universal feelings. And that the concept that if I'm feeling hate or not love for somebody, it's very likely it's because I'm experiencing some concept of not love. Like, I feel like that person does not love me. What I'm experiencing from that person that I don't like is something that's reminding me of lack of love, of acceptance, of something, right? Of something that I find to be a happy, virtuous thing. So the person that's on my list, I'm like, oh, she's been mean to me, right? She's been showing me not love. She's been acting not love, right? And, but when it comes down to it, it's all encompassed in love, right? Because it's about not love. It's the absence of love, right? That we're experiencing when we have these thoughts, judgments, or whatever about people, places, things, and circumstances that are not making us feel good, or not making us feel one with that. We're feeling separation from the person because we're not experiencing that love. So when it comes down to it, we're all bound. We're all connected. We're all bound in oneness. And so the same reason that, like everybody has that experience of like, not being in a space of love for others, or being in a space of dislike for others, or a space of hate for others because of some sense of not love. So even if I just take it away from like a personal experience, but like that person, my enemy, they are experiencing a state of not love, just like I am, right? We are all like, whoever it is that we don't like or that we're opposite against, we're in polarity against, it's because there's some experience on my part, on their part, of experiencing not love and feeling and responding to that, reacting to that, right? Having some kind of reaction to that, or response to that is what other people can think is mean, or is hateful, or is selfish, or is something that is causing friction with another person. It's all encompassed in the state of by the state of not love. Why? Because everything is actually encompassed in the state of love. That's like the absence of what actually, it's like the lack mentality of what actually is, and what actually always is love. Love is always there. It's always present. Love is unbounded. Love includes hate, because it's beyond that concept of like, oh, searching for love, wishing that we had love and acceptance and that the person likes me, or the person is nice to me, or feelings of love. But we always have them. They're always available to us. That's why we're able to forgive. We're able to get past that and realize that my love has never been taken away from me. God's love is always here. I'm always experiencing this. And that's what we do in these teachings. And that's what we're going to do right now in spiritual mind treatment. We're going to recognize that love is here, always available to us, and that unbounded love is even beyond hate. That's the highest truth for us, and it always has been, and we can connect with it right now. Because we turn and recognize the truth that unbounded love is right here, right now, always. That is the nature of the universe. God, infinite, intelligent life, the divine, the source, the creator of all. The nature of this creator of all, of creation itself, is that there's only one. The nature of it is there's only one. And every aspect of it that seems to be separate from one another is all bound by the fact that it's all connected. It's all one. And in some spiritual sense, we call this love, this binding together of all of these different aspects of the divine, people, places, things, experiences, showing up as the divine itself, dancing and playing and experiencing life. Everything that seems separate is really connected, and is connected by this one loving presence and power. And we are connected to this one loving presence and power. We are made of it, just like everything else is. We are made of it. And we are connected to everything that it's made of, everyone that it's made of. And as I begin to have compassion, be able to see myself and my neighbor, and I begin to have compassion, may I be able to love my neighbor as myself. May I be able to love my neighbor as myself, understanding that whatever ways that they might act up, that they are acting up because of they are responding to some sense of not having love. But that's not the truth of their being, and that's not the truth of my being. The truth of my being and our being is that we are always connected to love, divine love, which is all there is, the one presence, one power in the universe, aka divine love. The aka unbounded love is what we're made of. And so we just give thanks right now that we are able to recognize this about ourselves and about in others, and allow that consciousness of oneness, of loving compassion for our neighbor and for ourselves to touch the world, to bring healing and wholeness and love into the world. Because we know that whatever it is that we experience in our consciousness, we are going to project into the world of experience. So let that projection be love, if only for this moment. We let that be. And so it is. Amen.
Right. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. Reverend Mignonne Pollard is a Centers for Spiritual Living ordained minister of religious science. She's a staff minister at the Center for Spiritual Living or Spiritual Awareness in West Sacramento. She teaches CSL certified classes, and she's developed workshops on self-love, kicking love addiction, and attaining prosperity using the works of Catherine Ponder. She believes the principles of science of mind can change your life for the better. So welcome, Reverend Dr. Mignonne Pollard.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to be here this morning with UCSL Atlanta. It has been quite some time. And this morning, as Maya has said, August's theme is love. And today it is about love's ascent, the ascent of love in the world. Is it possible that all you need is love, like the Beatles say? Is it possible? Most of the world religions believe so. In every major religion, believing that love is the way. And today we're going to use the gateway through Buddhism and Christianity, two seemingly opposite ways, but indeed they share the major pathway of love as the way to heal the world. So in Christianity, it says to you, bless them that curse you and pray for them which despitefully use you. Or the Message Bible says, when somebody gives you a hard time, respond with energies of prayer for that person. And Buddhism says loving kindness. First, give loving kindness to yourself, and then give loving kindness to them all. And we have to believe that love is the great healer. So Centers for Spiritual Awareness is using Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings on love. And in my own meditations around love, which began before this month, my own meditations of love, I was looking for New Thought teachers, and I came upon a unity minister, Stella Terrill Mann, who wrote a book, Change Your Life Through Prayer. That's her most famous book, Change Your Life Through Prayer. But she wrote a second book, Change Your Life Through Love. So the spiritual principle that I'm working with today is love, divine love, agape love. And in English, it's so limiting. We have this one word for love, but in many other languages, love has many different variations, and it shows sort of the textures of love, the layers of love. So I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about what is this thing that's going to ascend in the world? What is this great ascent love? What is it? So Thich Nhat Hanh says, love is an energy helping us to be strong, to care for the well-beings of ourselves, other people, and living things. Love is real, and we can experience it. And true love is made of 4 immeasurables, or I love this in Buddhism, 4 unlimited minds. It means these things grow and grow. So the first, and I'm going to stick with English, I'm not going to use the other language. I'm just going to call them in their English names. Loving kindness. Loving kindness is the first of the unlimited minds. Loving kindness can always grow, can always move forward, can always go outward and inward. Compassion. Passion is the second unlimited mind. Joy. Joy is the third unlimited mind. And equanimity or equality, and equality and freedom. When you're in a relationship, a loving connection, it has both equality and freedom. And Thich Nhat Hanh says that if you grow even one of these, the other three will grow. And if you have these elements, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, then you have true love. The most wonderful thing about our practice is it can be done. And the most wonderful thing is this practice, Buddhism, and they encourage it, is that it can be done with whatever your religious roots are. That it is not apart from. They say, do not become disconnected from the religious roots that you grow up with, but incorporate this practice of Buddhism, of loving kindness, of compassion, of joy, and of equanimity. Incorporate that in your everyday religious practices. So let's go a little bit into Christianity. So Stella Terrill Mann is deeply rooted in Christianity. And Stella believed that Jesus was the master teacher. And Jesus said, God is love. And Jesus continued then to define God as a spirit, and then define spirit as essence of reality, the intent or the purpose of it. And in her book, she says, pure love is goodness. Love is creative power. Love is a force that creates good and only good. Love is a force that creates good and only good. And it is a upward spiraling of good and more good and more good. It's a progressive good. Ernest Holmes, of course, Ernest Holmes says in Science of Mind, he says, you must have the conviction that God is love, an equally firm conviction when you apply this principle of love to any human problem. The very words you speak in your meditation, treatment, or prayer will operate as law in the condition that confronts you, and you will neutralize or overcome everything that opposes it. God is love. God has deposited love at the center of everyone's being. And whether we know it or not, this love is a supreme power. It is a supreme power. It is a perfect law. It is reality. And it is only through love, that we find the presence in its greatness, and that we can use the power to its fullness. Now, I just want to say here that that we talk about love in many different layers and vine love. So there's that individual love, there's the friendship love, and there's the agape love. And this agape love, this love of all, love of mankind, it is indeed a synonym for God. And I love it. So let's put up slide 1. Stella Terrill Mann says that God is love at work. Love is God at work. God is love at work. And love is God at work. And so I have to share with you. I have to share with you words directly from Stella's books. I have to. Change Your Life Through Love was written in the 1940s, in 1949, sort of right after World War II. And people were dealing with some harsh realities of what had happened in the world, with the ending of World War II, with the freeing of the Jewish people from the Nazi concentration camps. And New Thought scholars, philosophers were struggling with this idea, with ideas of what was going on in the world. How could all this chaos and turmoil and hate and destruction be happening in the world? And what does that mean? When we come back to the core essence of our beliefs, that love is the greatest power in this world, that love overcomes all. When we come back to that very essence, to that very belief, then we can come to these words, not not just that individualized love, what we have between one another, but this love for mankind. So let me share this, I think you might find that it rings true, even though it was written in the 1940s, that this rings true today because principle is timeless. So here's what he says. Love always desires and works earnestly to promote the welfare of persons or principles. It gave America freedom of speech, freedom of press, peaceful assembly, and freedom of religious worship. It also gave us votes for women, child labor laws, public schools, and remember, this is the 1940s, it's now trying to eliminate racial barriers. We see love at work all around us. Its nature and its purpose is to give, to serve, to unlimit, to unbind, free, to build, to empower, to beautify, and to harmonize. It takes pleasure in serving, it appreciates, and it makes glad, and it forgives. It is grateful, blesses, and it is a blessing. And in the final analysis, it will be found that there can be no created good without love. Without the desire for good, all actions are idle or evil, and all end results will eventually be torn down. You know, the fact that the psalmist made clear in the words, except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. And the Lord is the law. That's the way I interpret it in New Thought language. So the law is the principle of love, which created the universe and maintains it. You know, everything contrary to that spirit will eventually fall, just as the idea of the divine rights of kings, witch burning, and slavery has fallen. Throughout the ages, moving, liberating the power of love has been observed by all men who consciously used it for definite ends of good, and the growth by a few men has been misunderstood and wrongly used, left unused entirely by most men. Someday, someday, we shall use this power as universally as we now use fire. We will learn then to work with the nature at source, and at our present failures in personal and national life, all of our present failures in personal and national life can be traced to attempts to work against nature in one way or another. We could spend the rest of our lives talking about love and never say the final word, but we sum it up simply by saying God is love at work, and love at work is God. And when we are working with love, we are working with and for and through and as God. Love is the fervent desire for the progressive good of all, the most earnest effort to promote the welfare of all. And then she says, continuously, constantly, over and over again, we must love or we perish. As a people, we must learn to love or we shall perish as a people. Christianity, love, that highest principle, holding it. Now, as I'm expanding that meditation on love, as I'm expanding those ideas of love, as I'm knowing that love is working for the good of all, and if it's not good, and if it's not working for the good of all, it's not working in love. It's not lifting humanity. It's not raising that vibration of earth. And that is what's ours to do, to help to raise that vibration, to help to work in love, to actually be love in action. Now, whenever I think of Buddhism and I think of my relation to it, I think of a very brief friendship I had with a writer, and her name was Faith Dele, or Faith Adiel, I think is how she says it now. She's a biracial woman, Ni- Nigerian and Nordic American. And her first book she wrote in 2004. She's many more since then, but I knew her when she was in the process of writing her first book. And her first book was Meeting Faith, Forest Journals of a Black Buddhist Nun. Meeting Faith, the Forest Journals of a Black Buddhist Nun. It's a coming of age book. It's a reflection of as a search for self and a search for peace. And she found that peace, and she found herself in Buddhism, and she found parts of herself as one of the first, if not the only, if not the very first, one of the first Black Buddhist nuns in Thailand, where she shaved her head, went through all of the 17 hours of silent retreat. So when I met her, she was in the process of writing this book. And it's one of the few times. So when I think of Buddhism, I think of faith, because I think of our friendship. And our friendship was spent with many hours with very few words. It was a space of silence. It was um, it was sitting and being completely in each other's presence. Sometimes there was words, sometimes there weren't words. Um, I think of measured emotions as one form of love. And I was listening to Thich Nhat Hanh's book on audio tape, so listening to his very voice, and I heard him say, practicing mindfulness, because I think that's what it was, sort of sitting and being fully present, practicing mindfulness and being fully present in the moment, deep listening and loving speech. That is the greatest gift you can give someone. You must be there. It's the highest form of love. You must be there for yourself. So you must be able to sit with yourself, be able to go inward in yourself, to sit in the silence, to be in that your energy of yourself, and then you can be able to give that energy of love, that energy to others. And love heals. It heals pain, it heals sorrow. And it is definitely a way in which to raise the vibration of the world. The first step, the very first step to raise that vibration begins, as we know, everything begins. It begins inside and it radiates outward. So, in order to help begin to raise that vibration, you can practice fully being there, fully being there for someone else. I know in different stories, I've heard of people who have just about everything, and they have the kids, and the kids can have anything in the world, but what the children want more than anything else is the attention of their parents. What they want is the loving presence, the loving kindness, the kind words, the fully present aspect of their parents with them. That's one of the most loving things. And that is one of the most loving things you can do in friendship. It's one of the most loving things you can do in your job, is to practice that mindfulness and be fully, fully present. That will help raise the vibration of the world. So we're going to practice self-love. It begins with self-love, to have that stillness, to have that energy of peace. I don't know if you've ever been around someone, they just walk in the room and the whole energy of the room just kind of goes down to this wonderful mellow space. That's possible. And we can be that vibration in the world. So, but we're going to first get to that space, practice self-love. For me right now, I don't know, self-love looks different for everyone. But for me right now, self-love looks like rest. And so I tell you, sometimes I can go without stopping. I will say yes to just about everything, not setting boundaries or respecting my boundaries. But right now, as a practice of self-love, it's setting those boundaries, it's saying no, it's really measuring what do I have the capacity to give outward, and how do I refill my own cup. If there's other ways that you can practice self-love, so rest is one for me. Another is just sort of moving your creative juices. And there's a wonderful book called The Artist Way, and I'm sure many of you know The Artist Way. And one of the things the artist Way says is that you can take yourself on dates. Take yourself to the museum, just you all by yourself, not with somebody else, just you. Or maybe you want to play with paints. I have all these canvases around that I love. I love watercolors. I love oils. I love, charcoal. You can just being with yourself, absorbed in something where you are in a space of love and of just taking care of yourself, just taking care of yourself. Self love also looks like self forgiveness. Maya's talked about it. Love and forgiveness hand in hand, almost synonyms as words. If you think you've done something to betray yourself, you can forgive yourself and you can start right where you are, right where you are, right where you are today. And you can cultivate that love and that happiness. You can start over today. It can be forgiven today. You can move from today until tomorrow in a space of love and joy and happiness. So think about where you are in your life. Think about how it is that you show love. Think about where it is you need to love yourself a little bit more. Where is it? You know, there's also something called simple gratitude. I love this. I've known it for a long time, way back in the 1980s. I'm aging myself, but there's a book called Simple Gratitude. And one of the things you can do, this whole idea of self-love, is sometimes it's simply that cup of tea you have in the morning, being fully present, practicing mindfulness with that cup of tea, smelling it, tasting it, being fully present in that moment in gratitude and in thanks. These are all ways in which we can practice self love and give loving kindness to ourselves. So those are just a few examples. For you, it might be gardening, it might be fishing, might be taking a walk in the woods. Uh, what gives your heart joy, what helps you to reset and reconnect with that inner essence and core. And when you practice that loving kindness inside with yourself, then you can absolutely give that out to others. And that's the next step. So after we're grounded in that idea of self love, then we practice the practice of loving kindness towards other. That is kind and loving speech and deep listening and sending towards each and every one of them, anyone. And so, so does it work? I have to believe that it works. You know, just last week I was in a conversation. You know, we had a myself and a person, we had a conversation. I'm thinking, okay, everything is resolved, and then all of a sudden I get an email about something reiterating everything, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I thought this was all resolved. So right there, I got an opportunity to practice loving kindness, to send love, to send kindness um, to that person. It's a practice. And loving kindness as a practice, I'm sure you've all done it. I don't know if you want to take just a moment and sort of do it with me. It's a little bit like what Maya was talking about in her introduction. And if we could, because I believe it heals. I believe it changes situations. I believe that this idea of putting love on the situation, and if the situation isn't good, if it hasn't turned out good, then it's not the end. So we have opportunity. I have an opportunity. Maybe I believe maybe you do too. I have opportunity every day to practice the practice of loving kindness. And in Buddhism, it's the metta meditation. Um, but I'll do sort of a little variation on the metta meditation. So if you don't mind, and you'll join me. So how is it done? So the first thing you do in this metta meditation is that you bring to your mind's eye someone you love, you absolutely and totally love. You bring someone that you are neutral towards. And then finally, You bring in that person who is causing you some pain or some anxiety, some suffering. Some people might call it an enemy. You know, there's only love. There's nothing outside the circle of love. But this practice of loving kindness helped raise that vibration. So let's just take it from, like, let's just bring somebody to mind that we love. Let's do the easy one, and then you can do the others on your own later. So someone that you love, bring them to your mind, bring them in your thoughts. And you can say after me, well, first thing you do is you always say this about yourself and then others. But you can say after me, bringing that person to mind. So that person's in your mind, someone that you love, someone that you love. And you simply say, may you be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May you be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May you be free from injury. May you live safely. May you be free from disturbance, fear, and anxiety. May you live in freedom and abundance. We know from our teaching that what we desire for others, it's a boomerang. We desire it absolutely for ourselves. And I know absolutely that we give, we give, we give, we give. And so um, we give those loving thoughts. We give those loving thoughts of kindness to others. I know that love will raise the vibration of the world. I know that it works. So I want to finish up with this idea that love heals. Absolutely, love heals, and love works. And if it's not for the good, if whatever is occurring that you're seeing in the world is not for the good of all, then it's not the end. So let's just quickly take this message into prayer. Okay, let's take this message into prayer. I know that there is only one power in this world, and it's the power of love. And that power of love is the power to heal, to transform, and to move. And that power of love is the power that is in me, and it is in each and every one of us. And I'm speaking my word now, that we raise the vibration of the world through love's ascent, that we raise the vibration of the world, and love is rising, constantly rising, that there is love and more love, and love is the healer, the transformer of the world. Oh, I am just so grateful and thankful for this power of love, grateful and thankful for love at work, grateful and thankful for it all working for the highest good of all. I'm releasing this word into the law. Together we're saying, so it is, so it is, so it is. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Mignonne. What an awesome talk. Peace, loving kindness, loving ourselves, loving others, all that. So now it's time for our conscious giving. So if you will, you can donate at cslmidtown.org/donate. You can scan the QR code on the screen. And here's our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And I've got a few announcements. You can join us afterwards. Reverend Mignonne will be over on Zoom. So if you're on Zoom, stay there. If you're not, you're online somewhere else, come join us. cslmidtown.org, and scroll down to the Zoom link. It'll take you there. Next week, we have Reverend Shakira Taylor talking on Together We Rise, the journey from wounded to whole. We have our adult study group from at 10 a.m. on Sundays before the service. They're studying the Science of Mind textbook, so you can come join on that. And we've got an auction coming up. So look in your email for details on the auction, things you can contribute, things you can give and participate in. You might find something that you just didn't know you needed and fill that out. So Lynn, Lynne, at cslmidtown.org for more details on that. And you can download our New Minister Sacred Covenant prayer from the CSL Midtown website as well. Now, our affirmation of life. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is. We'll see you next week online.